So maybe, I know that a lot of you have been experiencing some phone calls and you want answers about how you think maybe you should respond to the caller. So Caitlin, do you and Charmaine want to have them ask you the questions as if they're the callers and you all answer them?
Sure. I mean, we can do that. Sure.
Is there people in the gallery that want to kind of act like they're the phone caller and ask Charmaine and Caitlin questions? Just jump in here, because if you don't, we're going to start making shit up. I know that you all have had some weird phone calls, and maybe you want to put them out. Anybody, just jump in here and ask the question. Come on.
Hey, Kate, do you want to go over the phone call that you received, that you were on the call for 40-something minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, I can't really act like I'm her because it was kind of crazy. But she kind of just went into this whole thing about how she's been calling all these places and blah, blah, blah. And she had been clean before, but now she's been drinking and going on. And like, she's been trying to call these different things for 4 hours, and she called Oregon, and finally she got a hold of this one and a local number and blah, blah, blah. And she just kept going on and on and on. And really, I think she just wanted someone to listen to her, which I was like, I'm great listener. I can do that. I'm still lacking in the assertive area. And, in the end, she finally was like, man, yeah, I think I probably just need to go to a meeting. And I was like, yes, that's what I was like going to try and get at the whole time. But she, I think she was a little drunk, and I don't know, you know how sometimes people get like the person that wants to share at the meeting for like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end, I was like, hey, NKYNA.org. That's where you will find meetings in Northern Kentucky. And then I also gave her NACincinnati.com in case she wanted to cross the river and things like that. But I was like, yes, please get to a meeting. But it went on forever and ever.
Yeah. So I always try in my head to like limit the call to 5 minutes, because if it goes over that 5 minute, just nothing really productive is happening at that point. Like the whole goal of the call is to get somebody to go to an NA meeting, so I don't really have a suggestion to make you more assertive, but I probably would have said something like, why don't you, like, if you're going to in-person meetings, I would have been like, why don't you come meet me at this meeting, and kind of end the call fairly quickly at that point. Or, I don't know. The one phone line call I've had that stands out in my head was I had a crisis call, and it was literally like I had been on the phone line for maybe like a month. And this girl called, and she's like, I need somebody to come get me. I've been cleaning. She had been in NA in Atlanta, and they have a helpline where they'll physically come and get you and take you to a meeting if you're like struggling, or they'll do a 12-step call whenever. And we don't have that here. She's like, I need somebody to come get me. If you guys don't come get me, I was like, well, ma'am, we don't do that. I can tell you where a meeting is. The next meeting's tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Monday. And, you can go there. And she's like, well, if you don't come get me right now, I'm going to hurt me or my kids. And I, like, at that point, I was like, okay. I was like, well, what's your address? And got her address and was like, okay, I have to call somebody because I don't know what to do. And I'll call you right back. Like, I don't know is always an acceptable answer. Like, I feel like that's one thing that we don't talk about enough, is that if you don't know what to do on a phone line call, say, I don't know, I need to call somebody, I'll call you right back. Because like, you're never going to fuck anything up saying, I don't know, but you could fuck something up giving false information, implied endorsement, whatever, So I don't know is like the best answer you can give sometimes. So I told the lady, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll call you right back. Give me a minute. So I called Shane, because at the time he was the chair of the public relations committee. And then I called Greg, because Greg was on the committee too. And that, like, he had trained me. And I was like, this is what's going on. What do I do? And Greg was like, well, here's the thing, is if she kills herself or like hurts her kids, like, we're liable. Like, so you need to call the police for a wellness check. And so I had to call the police and was like, hey, I'm answering the NA phone line and I need to do a wellness check on this lady because she's going to kill herself or her kids, is what she's saying. And then I called her back and stayed on the phone with her until the police got there. The police got there, checked on her, and like, she comes to NA to this day. Like, she doesn't realize that I know that was her on the call, but she's still clean and she comes to NA now, And so, you know, like that is in my head, that's like my craziest phone line story. The other ones, I mean, I guess we could like do like a fake phone call if anybody is interested in doing one.
We got some hands up. So I think
Okay.
before we're going to go to Mike and then Eric, but I think Charmaine, you want to talk real quick about the legalities of some of, because I know you guys are pretty straight up on that.
Well, we don't really get into the legalities. You know, every place is different, and you need to be familiar with that. We've not really focused on that other than what our role is. Our role is to get people to a meeting. And if that is not looking like that's going to happen, then we need to place that in the pocket of whose direction we need to send these people. And we don't ever give a ride to someone to a meeting alone. I can't stress that enough. You can get yourself in violent situations. There are people that have done this, have gone out and used with people. I mean, just don't do it. To me, that's an absolute.
Yep.
You know, the biggest thing, and I guess the hair on the back of my neck stood up when you were talking about types of meetings. The biggest thing to me is get someone to the closest, most likely meeting, the closest time period to the call that you can.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all that other stuff. We're NA, you know, we don't want to be selective in trying to figure those things out. If we get someone to a meeting, they'll figure that out on their own. The other thing is if you're a public relations chairperson, you should be checking periodically or having someone do a call and check your own hotline to make sure the people who you have on a hotline are actually answering calls correctly. Do it, you know, anonymously, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's our responsibility. Sometimes we forget to talk about that. And also be familiar with, hey, there's a lot of people that don't have smartphones there are people that call from other people's phones that don't have a phone at all because they've used it up.
Yes.
So make sure you're familiar with how to give people directions, you know. And when I lived in the volunteer region, we had different time zones that we were affected by. And I felt so bad one time because I didn't realize I was like right on the line of where I was, because I was on the whole region's phone line. And I sent somebody to a meeting at a wrong time because I didn't realize there was a time zone difference. So be aware of all those idiosyncrasies that your area or region might have, and always refer somebody to NA.org, tell them how to find, you know, how to click on find a meeting if they have that capability, you know, just general things. And one thing more I just want to quick run over is we have a public relations committee now, not a public information subcommittee, because we are relating to the public. Our public relations policy is based on attraction, not our public information policy. And one of the things about being consistent in NA as a whole is getting our outdated language up to the time period. Just like we're doing Zoom meetings and doing all these new things, sometimes it's really hard to make a change, because believe me, after 35 years, it was really hard for me to make changes in a lot of different areas, such as being on this meeting. But we have to keep updating ourselves to the current processes, so that we can be aware of where Narcotics Anonymous as a whole is and relate to one another in those in those terms. Thanks.
Thanks, Charmaine.
Really
Get some more
quickly, like,
questions.
the whole things, like when you're calling, like something Charmaine said, like when you're calling people back, like because they might borrow other people's phones, like never be like, if you call somebody back, just be like, hey, it's Caitlin. I had a missed call from so-and-so and I was just returning the call. But don't be like, hey, it's Narcotics Anonymous calling, because the people that they borrowed the phone from or their loved ones might not know that they're calling because they have a drug problem. and that could cause some fucking problems for them. That's another thought that I had when Charmaine was talking.
Hey,
Oh,
Mike, you want to jump in here real quick? Did you have
Yeah.
something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I do. So, yeah, thanks, Shane. So the reason I got on this call was for phone line information and see how everybody's doing it different or better. And so, and I've heard mentioned 4 or 5 times that the most important thing we do when we answer the phone is get people to meetings. Tell them where a meeting is. Give them the address, give them the time, give them the directions. So what's going on now? And we've had a little bit of trouble with this. Yeah, like Thursday, I got a call from 2 guys that were traveling out of Moorhead, and they were up here in Northern Kentucky, and they called me personally because they were looking for a meeting that hadn't been in that location for like 10 years. And I guess they got it off NA.com or something. I don't know where it came from. Didn't come from the Northern, did not come from our website. But what my question is, how do you in other areas get the updated meeting information to the people that answer the phones quickly? Because meetings are changing every week now. Either going to Zoom or they're coming off Zoom. They're going hybrid. They're doing it's a constant battle for our web person in Northern Kentucky to get everything updated because shit changes every week. How do you guys, or how are you all doing it?
So we have, a single source of truth, which is the BMLT. And for our region, that can be found at barkna.com. And Ural's web servant does a really great job of updating the meetings. I believe Grassroots has Nathan regularly updating their meetings. And if it goes to NA.org, the way that works is I do a dump of the server and I send it to Lori and Naz, and she will update the server on NA.org. And my experience is, no offense to anybody with NA.org, but the NA.org site is usually always wrong just because it takes a really long time for me to send that information. And not only me, but like every other freaking web servant across the country right now is sending updates to Lori. So she probably is just updating meetings all the time. Like, I don't even know how
The entire world.
I don't even know how she can keep up right now, So for now, like my best suggestion is to like use data that is powered by our BMLT, or surrounding areas have BMLTs too. And you can call like you can call the phone line and put in your zip code and it'll text you the correct meeting information, and that all pulls from the BMLT. And that's going to be like that information is updated by local web servants more often than NAS is updated. So you're going to get more accurate information. Or there's an app, it's called the BMLT search app. You can download that on your phone and that will hit every BMLT. Like if you have somebody on the phone from Utah and you want to find them a meeting out there, then that is going to be the most effective way to try to find it. Or you can be like, hang on, let me call you back. And you can call their phone line, because as trusted servants, like we're more oriented in how to find phone lines. Like Lindsay just did this, I think, for somebody in West Virginia.
Yeah. So I ended up getting a call from somebody that was trying to like travel down to West Virginia. So I ended up having to look up the website online, and then I knew people in Huntington where I was able to connect them personally, and they were totally cool with me giving them their number and stuff. But this also happened 2 days ago where I got a phone call from somebody that was in Irving, Kentucky. And I have no idea where Irving, Kentucky was until I looked it up, but it's like south of Louisville, so it's not even like in our region. And so he was like a younger guy, he sounded like, and I got him on Messenger and we went to Arch Search and we were able to look up the meetings right there. So I was able to show him where the meetings were because that's hooked up to the BMLT. And then I also got him the phone line number that was in Louisville, because I'm not exactly sure where the breakoffs are around Louisville, like in the particular areas, but I got him that number as well. for the Louisville area, the closest one that I could find.
Louisville gets
But-
confusing because there's like 4 areas there.
Right. So I wasn't sure which one it was, but I at least got him like the main one that came up. And he also was able to like understand what Arch Search is and get in Messenger and be able to like utilize that tool. So we walked through it as we were on the phone together.
Hey, so anyone who's curious what Arch Search is a search that works through Messenger where you put your zip code in and it sends back the closest NA meetings. And it pulls from the same database that our regional website and all that stuff does, the phone line. It's BMLT based. So we got 2 hands, and then we've got to get to Nick. Charmaine, you want to jump in real quick, and then we'll get to Eric's story?
Yeah, something that we didn't talk about was never use foul language. Really be careful about that. A lot of times we get family members and parents calling, and one of the things that somebody has said to me different times, I've had several calls like this. Can I take my daughter or son to a meeting, and make sure that you're sending them to an open meeting, and try and say, well, we do suggest that they go in by themselves if you can just come back and pick them up, but you are welcome to attend if you want to see what it's like. So those are the kinds of things that we want to be careful of.
Thank you. Mike, do you feel okay with that, or do we need to spend any more time on that, or revisit it after we're done with Nick?
Well, I just like to know what, so how do, what I understand about BMLT is I like bacon. Yeah. Okay. But I don't know what that is. So I'm a person that drives around all day for a living and answers the phone when I can for the phone line. So I don't have the technical capability of looking up shit on my phone for me, I don't know how to get on NKYNA.org while I'm on the phone in the car, while I'm on the phone with somebody. So is anybody else having that problem where so we met on Thursday or whenever we met the other day. PI met on Friday, I guess. And we talked about, how we could get maybe our like once a week, we figure out how to get people to just download the schedule and print it out so they got it with them, the people that answer the phone. That's one of the things that we talked about. I was just wondering if anybody else had anything other than that, but then I'm good with
Mike, I'll tell you what we do. There's exactly what you just described is what a lot of people do who prefer to have a paper copy. But what I would suggest is, instead of just your area, is go to BARCNA, BAR, our regional website. And so the BMLT is just the software that runs on the website. So that's all you need to know about that. Like, it's not a special place. It's just a tool that we use to show the meeting information on our website. And you can print a PDF directly off of the regional website. You can choose one area or all areas. And that meeting information that's on your area is the same as what's on the regional website, because they're connected through that software. Okay. So that's what I would suggest, is that you just go to the regional website, pick the service bodies meeting list that you want to print off, and just print them all off if you want a paper. What I do and what some of our volunteers do is we go in there and we take screenshots, and we have it in a separate file on our phone, and we just roll to that saved file and update it every so often if we're unable to go directly to the website for whatever reason. That was another tool we used to do. And so, okay. All right, so we got 2 more hands that popped up. If Charmaine and Danny can go real quick, and then we'll get to Eric.
Just real quick on that. For me, even if sometimes I couldn't even remember when I was in a stress situation, trying to do things quickly on my phone, it doesn't matter. As long as I can remember NA.org, I can just click find a meeting and then go to where I'm looking for. And it's the simplest thing when I'm in a confused situation and how to find a meeting.
Hey, Mike. My region, we have a statewide number, and that number is saved in my my contacts. So if I get a phone line call, the numbers the call comes in from that, that saved, like, says North Carolina statewide phone call.
Yeah.
And if someone's on the phone with me and they're like, I live in, like, I get calls from all over the state. Like, I live near Raleigh. I might get a call near Charlotte or Wilmington. I say, what's your zip code or what's the city? And then while I'm on the phone with them, I'll go into my messages and I'll text back to the number, the zip code or the city, and it'll return 5 meetings that haven't happened yet for that day. So no matter what, like, even if I can't get internet access, if I can text back to that number, I can always get, like, what are the next meetings coming up?
Text back to the phone line number is what he's talking about.
Danny, explain that a little bit, because you lost me too in the order of operations. So you're on the phone, you're looking at talking to the caller, and then you go to a different tab on your phone.
Yeah, exactly, Shane. Like, I just swap out, like, you know, you could switch apps on your phone.
Yeah.
So, like, while I'm on the phone with them, I'll put them on speaker. So I can hold on 1 second, I'll put them on speaker, and then I'll switch to the messages app on my phone, and I'll compose a new message to the helpline number, which is saved in my phone as NC statewide phone number. And I'll say, okay, what city are you in? Type the name of the city or the zip and hit send. And then boom, 5 meetings come back.
And then you forward that to them. Okay.
Yeah, I just say here, I could forward the text, or what I could do is I'll tell them while I'm on the phone, I'll walk them through exactly what I just did. Okay, open your messages app and blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, like many of them, like, yeah, in cases, I'll say, hey, go to crossroadsarea.org, which is my area. And, you know, here's all the meetings for today, you know, on the webpage.
Okay. Did we lose Eric? Looks like we lost Eric.
By messages app, do you mean text messaging?
Yes, exactly. Like regular old SMS text
Okay.
messaging. Yep.
I wasn't sure if you meant that or like Facebook Messenger.
Well, you
No,
can
regular
but you could
text.
go to Arch Search on Messenger and do the same thing. Arch Search is a searchable thing.
Yeah,
on
I just
Messenger.
learned about that the other
Yeah.
day.